welcome to another midday recipe, another midday live recipe with me, Chef Day Radley. So today I wanted to share with you a really easy recipe. The other day we had a whole session on tofu, and with tofu I know that it can be something that people are scared of. You may have tried a recipe, you may have tried buying it from somewhere else ready-made, and it hasn't been that nice. So it's great to dispel those ideas and to show you how to make it in a really lovely, tasty way. So I want to share with you guys today my scrambled tofu recipe. I'm just going to get the live up on here so that I can see your questions. So basically the deal is that you guys can ask me as many questions as you want. It's better to ask me them during the live rather than at the end, because at the end, you know, I natter for about like at least half an hour. I can talk about food until the cows come home. So you guys can ask me questions as we go and I'll answer them, because there will be bits and pieces where, you know, we're waiting for things to cook and it's not that interesting. And I don't have anything else to say about what we're doing, so you guys can ask me questions during that time. So just to say, with these lives, a lot of people have found that it's better for them to watch the live cook along and ask questions as they go and just look at the recipe and think, you know, is it something that I want to make? And then you can save the video, go and get all the ingredients that you need, dig them out of your cupboard. I try to give as many substitution ideas as I can, so it's a bit more flexible. And then you can watch the video and playback whilst you're cooking. And what that means is that you guys can start and stop it whenever you want. So if there are bits that you think, oh my God, what did she say? I didn't quite hear that. Then you can rewind it and, you know, hear it again. So that's like the best way to go. I did used to share the ingredients beforehand, and then people would try to cook along with me actually in real time, which was a really lovely thing. But actually what happened was, you know, it can be a bit stressful for people when they can't start it and stop it, because I'll try and go through things like fairly speedily just so that I can keep your attention for as long as possible. So that's usually the best way to go with it. So we've got a few people who've come in. Maggie, lovely, thank you for joining us. So Maggie has an awesome cafe in Richmond, which is a vegan cafe. Pam says hi from Dublin, Ireland, hello. And Ariel, thanks for joining us again. I made the baked tofu last night. I made the baked tofu last night. It was amazing. I had to leave the baking tray soaking overnight though. Yes, that is a very good point. So when we did our last tofu session, they will become a theme, our tofu sessions, we baked tofu. So that's a really great way of cooking tofu. It's a real like fail-safe way. It's my go-to way to cook tofu, is to bake it. But yes, you do need to soak the pan overnight. But fortunately, it's one of those things that literally you can just put some hot water on it, you know, leave it for half an hour, and then it comes off really easily. So on to today's recipe. Today's recipe is our scrambled tofu. We will be making enough for one portion. So however many portions you need to make, just times it by that. And we've got our ingredients list down here. Now it'd be great if you guys could let me know if you can actually see them today, because yesterday they were a bit too far away and some people couldn't see them, but I do talk through them, and I do also take a photo and put it into the comments afterwards, so you know you will be able to see them then. But just let me know, because you know I can make these bigger if you want. So we've got our ingredients list here today. We've also got this little thing that will help you guys out with my shorthand. So see in here we've got T, a little T, and a little T means teaspoon. We've got a big T here. A big T means tablespoon. And we've got a C here, and C means cup. So a cup measurement, you might have those actual like cup measurements, some people do, and they're really handy, particularly if you are going to be making a lot of American recipes, because traditionally they use cups rather than weights. So they're very useful to have anyway, but if you don't have one of those, a cup is either 240 or 250 milliliters. So you can use something like this to figure that out. And so that's our little cheat sheet for today. So as always, there is a rainbow here. There is always a rainbow in my house at the moment. It's quite amazing. We all need a rainbow in our house at the moment. And so it's your job to find out where the rainbow is today. Okay, so we've got Lauren. Hello from near Brighton. Oh, I'm in Horsham, so not too far away. I lived in Brighton for over a decade. Lost my 20s to Brighton. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's get on to today's recipe. So we're going to start by heating the pan. Let's put it on quite high, and we're going to adjust the heat as we go. So we're not just going to keep it on one heat today. We're going to move it up and down to help us out with this recipe. Okay. Pardon me. We'll get that nice and hot, and we'll pop in half a teaspoon of cumin seeds. So we're going to make this a spiced tofu today, just to give it more flavour. We want to add more flavour to it. And after that, we will be putting half a small sliced onion in it. I'm going to try and cut it as finely as I can. Be careful of your fingers whilst you're doing this, please. Deborah, hello from North London. Love your shows. Where in North London are you, Deborah? So our school is actually in Tottenham. So yes, we go and teach there every Saturday. Not at the moment, of course. But yes, yeah, we're in Tottenham most of the time. So we'll just finely slice that. And again, this is just to give it more flavour. So we'll pop that to one side, wait for these to start smelling, basically. We want them to become fragrant, and that's how we know that the oils are heating in there and there's more flavour going on in there. Basically, that's what we're looking for. So we can just pop this to one side while we do that, and we can prep some of the other ingredients. Deborah is in Enfield. Okay, so not too far away from the school at all. Erina. That's a lovely name. We tend to have a lot of people coming to this show with lots of lovely names, which is very, very nice. Hi from Dublin. Oh, another Dubliner. And Gloria. Hello, thank you for joining me. So, with our tofu, we're going to mash it with a fork. If you want tofu to look a bit more natural, it's better to crumble it. You can either do that with your hands or with a fork. With tofu, if you cut it into cubes, it can look quite weird and unnatural. So, you know, if I'm making something like a tofu tikka masala, which is really, really nice, by the way, then I will crumble it rather than cut it into blocks, because I'm trying to, at least in that recipe, I'm trying to replicate chicken, you know, something like that. So I don't want it to look like cubes, because, you know, that I think that's one of the stumbling blocks that people face when it comes to tofu. So we're just going to mash this with a fork. Sarah, it's really, really lovely to see you. So Sarah, I knew from my days in Brighton, and Sarah is a nurse. So big round of applause for Sarah, please. I hope you're doing well and keeping yourself safe, and thank you for all of the great work that you're doing. Okay, so sorry, I missed Tracy Ann. Hello from somewhere in Yorkshire. I can't quite see that comment. Let me see if I can just go up. No, it won't let me. And Le Furlab Fawn. What was I saying about amazing names? We get loads of people with really amazing names. Hello from London. I just saw a picture of a nut roast that looked delicious, and I don't usually find them appealing. Super excited to find out about the school. So yes, yesterday we did a nut roast because it was Sunday, and I wanted to do something that was a Sunday dish. So we made a really, really lovely nut roast, and it is very, very nice. Thing to remember with a nut roast is you are in control of a nut roast. So you can add whatever flavours you want to it. You can swap out ingredients and make substitutions. And in yesterday's recipe, I showed you how to do that. So do check that out. Erina, you got it right. Good. Right, okay, so I can smell these now. So I will add a little bit of oil. And our sliced onions. So these two things are going to come in real handy today with what we're making. And the reason why is firstly because they're wooden, so it's going to protect our non-stick pan, and also because they have this lovely straight edge, and that's going to help once we get the other scrambled tofu ingredients in the mix. So I'll just pop my beans on there because we're going to have scrambled tofu with baked beans and some really lovely Linda McCartney Lincolnshire sausages. Really, really nice. They're so good if you haven't. It's just Fawn. Ah, okay. Okay, I'll call you Fawn. That's a really lovely name. Really lovely name. Hello from East London. Looking forward to make that spicy scrambled tofu. Ah, Tio. You are very familiar. I think we may have talked on social media before. Thank you for joining me. Now remember, with this recipe, it is like all of my other recipes where you can freestyle. So if you want to make it more spicy, make it more spicy. That's absolutely fine. So now we're going to pop in our tofu. Okay, we can get rid of that. Just give that a bit of a stir. Any big bits that are still in there, you can just break up. And now we'll add some of our tamari. So it's just about half a tablespoon of tamari. And we want to give it a real mix. Okay, so if you guys can tell me as well today if you can hear me properly, because one of our viewers yesterday, she was really struggling to hear me, and we don't want that because it's really annoying when you can't hear people. Sarah, thanks Dave, big love your live sessions. Trying to learn to cook more vegan food, always a good thing. Okay, so I'm mixing it round really well because I want the tamari. So this is our tamari here, just to show you again. I want that tamari to get into the tofu as much as possible to add a lovely flavour. So you can use tamari, you can also use soy sauce. I'm gluten-free, so I have to use tamari. Nick says, morning from Ohio, had a craving for eggs the other day. So, right, got you covered there. Hi from Martin and Helene from Chichester. We're going to make your tofu Eastern style with sesame rice for dinner tonight. Oh, yes, that was a lovely dish. Lovely dish. And Lauren, can hear you and the pan sizzling. Awesome. Carly, thanks for another great recipe. Really looking forward to 12 p.m. Oh, that's nice. Can you use silken tofu? That's a really, really good question. So if you use silken tofu, it is going to be a lot more wet. So water will come out of it. And so what I recommend with that is just to use the tofu on its own. We're going to be adding gram flour in a second. We're going to make a batter and add it. Don't do that if you're just using silken tofu because you've already got the wetness from the silken tofu. But what might happen with silken tofu is that a lot of water will start coming out of it. You can take a tea towel, clean tea towel or kitchen roll or something like that and try and absorb some of it and take some of that water out and just leave it cooking for longer. Leave it cooking for way longer. But it's gonna, if you do use silken tofu, it's going to be different to this recipe, and I will show you the main reason why. So the next ingredient that we will be using is this, which is our gram flour. Good to know that you guys can hear me perfectly. Thank you for letting me know. So we've got our gram flour, which is a great gluten-free flour that I use quite often. I am gluten-free, so just one thing to say is that all of the recipes that I'll be making for you guys, they will be gluten-free. I'm incredibly allergic to it. So, but we are going to get some of our lovely graduates to do some recipes, and so some of theirs might not be gluten-free. So, we've got half a cup of gram flour here, and I'm going to add, quarter of a cup of gram flour here, and I'm going to add a quarter of a cup of water to it. So I just pop to the sink and get that. Okay, So we've got that in our cup here, and I will just use a fork to whisk it in. So in this recipe, we have already added a salt ingredient, which is our tamari. Tamari is quite salty. You might want to add some more salt to it yourself, depending on how salty you like things, basically. Okay, so that is all good. And now we're going to add this lovely batter. And if you can see, it's a oh, Ezzy! Haven't seen you in a long time. Hope you guys are well. Eva, hi from Ross and Why. Very excited to watch the show. And Pam said, I can hear you clearly. Good, good, good. Okay, so you can see with this, it's lovely and a beautiful yellow colour. So that is going to help it look like scrambled egg, if that matters to you. For some people, you know, they won't care about that very much, but for some people they will. And so, you know, one of the added bonuses with this is that you don't have to add turmeric. So turmeric is usually the thing that people add to silken tofu, to scrambled tofu to make it more yellow, to replicate actual eggs. I don't particularly like doing that because you can very easily add too much, and the longer you leave it, the brighter it gets, to the point where it looks like you've got like toxic eggs. Like it's not that appealing because it's so bright. And you do also have to remember that that turmeric has its own flavour to it as well, and it can have this like metallic-y flavour. So you know, if you're somebody who has quite good taste buds like me, I can really taste it when people have added turmeric to the scrambled tofu. So let's just see if we can get this bit off here. So what we want to do now is just lower the temperature and let it cook out. So I've brought it down to 2. And so what we've got here is it's a combination of wet and dry. And this is what I felt was always lacking in a lot of scrambled tofu recipes. They were always really soggy, usually because you'd used silken tofu, or really dry, where people had just used the firm tofu, and whereas this is somewhere in between. And as you can see, it's a really lovely, gentle, so let me just put that down. It's a really lovely, gentle yellow colour. So it isn't that kind of vibrant yellow that you get when you use turmeric. It's just a really gentle colour. And to me that looks more natural, even though turmeric is of course, you know, incredibly natural and also incredibly good for you, but I just don't like it in scrambled tofu. So we're going to leave that just on a low setting just to cook out. And the reason why is that this stuff, when it's raw, is like the most disgusting flavour that I have ever encountered. So you do need to cook it out. It doesn't take too long to cook out, so don't worry about that. But we just want to drop the heat so that we're not burning it. We're not going to make it too firm, because you know the more you cook gram flour, the more it will turn into kind of like sponge or bread. You know, it's really good at doing that. So let's see if we've got any more questions. So Brian, good morning from the USA. Good morning. It was good afternoon for us, so is it morning, is it afternoon? Is there a rainbow today? Yes, there is. There is a rainbow. There will always be a rainbow to you. That is my promise to you. There will always be a rainbow in this house. So where is it? Helene, if you can guess, please. What tofu have you used? So let me just go and get the packet and I'll show you. So this is my go-to firm tofu. Fortunately, in the UK, this one is now available in supermarkets. It's also organic, which is absolutely amazing, and it's not incredibly expensive. So this is a really good one. And one of the other things that I do really like about this one, despite the fact that, you know, it's fairly priced, you can get it everywhere, and it's organic, is that you don't have to press it very much at all. In fact, not at all, which is great. You can literally just open the bag, pour the water out, give it a little squeeze, and that's it. That is it. It's really quite firm and lovely for recipes like this. hanging on the door. No. See this, you thought, is this what you were referring to? This is where we put our shopping lists, and if I come up with like an impromptu recipe, then I'll write it up there as well. So no, it's not over there, but good guess. So let's just stir our beans. There we go. It would not be a good look to be burning beans live on a recipe cook along. Here we go. Okay, we'll just put this down a bit. So this is nearly ready. Virginia, hello Virginia, thank you for joining us. Tempeh versus tofu. So tempeh is much more compact. So the texture is very, very different to tofu. We can do a session on tempeh, definitely, because I think it's one of those things that is very, very underused, but you're starting to see it in more of the health food shops and even in supermarkets now. And this brand, they actually do a great tempeh that is round, and I make that into chorizo. It's amazing, really, really amazing, and I even smoke it as well. So, so with tempeh, it's not going to break apart in this way. The texture is going to be quite different, but tempeh has lots of different ways that you can use it. It has this really lovely meaty texture, but what I recommend with tempeh is that it's better if you slice it into finely, maybe I would say no more than 1/2 centimetre for tempeh, and then baste the outside in some sort of marinade and then cook it. I think it tastes lovely like that. But tempeh has a very, very strong flavour of its own, and that's another big difference between tempeh and tofu. Tofu doesn't really have much of a flavour. It's a blank canvas for us to impart flavour onto, and so you don't need to put too much flavour into this to make it taste of something. Whereas with tempeh has a very strong flavour of its own, so you need to match that with another strong flavour, which is why it works great with chorizo, because I've added lots of spices and I've also smoked it, and it can really handle that flavour. Pam said, thank you, so excited, I have this tofu in your fridge. Good. Right, okay, so I think that this is about done. Do fire me any last minute questions, because I'm about to have lunch, so do ask me any questions that you want to before we finish for the day. Just to say as well, on here I have said to click these 3 dots. So you can click the dots there, just up in the corner there, and that will enable you to save the video, which is really great for you guys. If you've watched and at this point you're like, okay, yeah, that is something I could see myself making, then you can save it for later, because it's always annoying once you've seen something like this and then you try to find it later and you scroll and you can't find it. So this is almost ready. Just to recap, our ingredients for one portion is 1/2 teaspoon of cumin seeds, a little bit of oil, 1/2 small onion sliced, 1/2 block of firm tofu. So the size of the block, or the weight of the block that I used, the total block is 280 grams, so therefore I use 140 grams, which is an important thing to note because not all tofu is the same size. 1/2 tablespoon of tamari, 1/4 cup of gram flour, 1/4 cup of water, and this ingredient that I haven't even spoken about yet, a pinch of black salt. So some of you guys will be familiar with this, maybe you've heard about it, but you've never been able to find it, you haven't used it, you might even have some in your cupboard but you're a bit scared to use it. So this is Himalayan black salt. It smells of sulphur, basically, and it is what can impart more of an eggy flavour into this, into scrambled eggs or an omelette, something like that. It is quite strong tasting, but if you put it in too early and then keep cooking whatever it is you're cooking, a lot of the flavour will go. So I use it as a finishing salt rather than something that I put in at the start. Okay, so we're nearly good to go. sausages out of the oven. There we go. Oh, lovely scrambled tofu there. Don't do this at home, by the way, guys. I have practiced and practiced and practiced so that I've got asbestos fingers. I still don't understand that saying, but there you go. There we go. And our beans. So, you know, this isn't anything kind of fancy today. It's just really lovely comfort food for today. Oh, I am actually salivating. Zara, thank you for joining us. And Robbie, thank you for joining us as always. Pam, thank you. Thank you. So, I am going to have to try this. I'm sorry, but I really, really have to. That black salt in there really, really comes through. And yeah, again, you do just need to add that at the end. So I get that initial egginess right at the start, and then I can taste the onion and some of those lovely cumin seeds in there as well. So that is our recipe for today. Please do let me know. Oh, trying to reply to you. Is that for me? Is that for me? I don't know. But do let me know if you guys have any requests, any recipes that you want to see me make. We will be doing some sessions that our viewers have already asked for. We'll be looking at things like aquafaba. We'll do a session on that. We'll be doing some burgers, some veggie tarts. But if there's anything that you want to see a recipe for, then let me know and I'll do my best. If there are any back of the cupboard ingredients that you have no idea what to do with, then let me know. Now is a really, really, really good time for us to be using up those things, to be a bit more thrifty, but also to stop us from having to go out so much to go and buy food. So thank you for all the love. There was a flour question further back. Okay, let me know what's the flour question. What's the flour question? I usually make a southern style tofu scramble, but I'm definitely going to try making it with gram flour instead next time. Thank you so much. Let me know how you get on, and if it helps, even post a picture. So we now have a Facebook group called the Vegan Chef School Community Hub, and so if you guys want to join that, you can just click on the Learn More button that's on our page, on the page that you're looking at the moment, and then that will take you through to the Community Hub, and then you can join us. So we're getting quite a merry band of vegan fooders in there and talking about food. So you can come into there and you can share pictures of the recipes that you've made from these cook-alongs. Is chickpea the same as gram flour? Okay, that is a really, really good point to make. So this is gram flour. It's actually made from chana dal. So chana dal is very closely related to chickpea, but it isn't quite the same thing. But we still call this chickpea flour. So yeah, chickpea flour is the same thing as gram flour. It's also the same thing as besan flour, B-E-S-A-N. So they are interchangeable. Sarah says, stay well and safe. That is a really, really good place to leave it. Please, you guys, do exactly what Sarah said, and I'll see you next time. Have a lovely day.